Hi everyone, Crafty Decoria here. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. So for today's DIY, it is yet another farmhouse style look. And I'm just loving this style right now since I am transitioning to it in my own home. So for today's DIY, we will be making a 3-tiered serving buffet / display stand. So the items you will need are these. From the Dollar Tree, I purchased one white plastic rectangular serving tray. You will need 3 of these silver metal trays from the Dollar Tree. Now they have them in rectangular shape, oval shape, or circular, but I think that the rectangular or oval shapes work best in this DIY. You will need some paint. Now on hand I had some semi-gloss white and some semi-gloss clear from Rust-Oleum, and then from Krylon I have a black in gloss. You will need 6 glass candle holders from the Dollar Tree. You will need some jute twine. You could either get it at Dollarama or Dollar Tree. You will need a letter stencil. You will need some magnets. I purchased these at Dollarama, 8 in a pack for $1.25, and I particularly like these magnets for today's DIY, and when we get into the tutorial I'll explain why. You will need some acrylic craft paint. So from the Dollar Tree I purchased this in white, black, and in silver. You will need a paintbrush or a sponge brush, whichever you prefer. As well, you will need your E6000 glue, your glue sticks, and your hot glue gun. So without further ado, let's jump into the tutorial, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so to begin with, I just want to apologize for the lighting. We have a very windy day today and our power has gone off, but I hope that you can see the video well enough. So we are going to take our plastic rectangular serving tray, and I'm going to take this in a well-ventilated area because I'm going to spray it. I will be spraying it with the black gloss from Krylon, and you just want to make sure that you have a paint and primer because these trays are fairly glossy, and you just want to make sure that your paint sticks to the tray and doesn't come off. So once we've given that 2 to 3 coats and it's dried, I will take my semi-gloss clear from Rust-Oleum and give that a good 2 coats just to get a nice seal and to protect our base. We then will move on to our glass candle holders. Now we are going to take 4 out of the 6, and 2 of them we are going to turn upside down. Then with the other 2, we will directly place them right side up on top. Now you will first, of course, take your E6000 glue and just run a line of glue all along the edge, and then place our candle holder on top, and then we will let that dry for a good 12 to 24 hours to get a really nice bond. Okay, so now as our glass candle holders are drying, I went ahead and grabbed my magnets. Now you will need 6 of these. We will be wrapping the candle holders in the jute twine, so it really doesn't matter which color you use. If you were to leave these clear, it would be best if you would take out the clear magnets in your pack, so you'd have to get a few packs in order to have enough. Or you could just paint the backs of the magnets and then just paint them before inserting them in your candle holder. So I went ahead and grabbed the clear ones since I had enough of them, and you're just going to take your E6000 glue, and then along the edge of the magnet you are going to apply your glue and then place it directly inside of the candle holder. And what I love about these magnets is that they fit exactly inside the candle holder perfectly, so it works out great for this DIY. Now if you cannot find these magnets, Dollar Tree does sell magnetic buttons, so all you'd have to do is make sure that you either fill in that cavity high enough and come up flush to the top of the candle holder, or find another object like even a regular button and then glue that in and then place your magnetic button on top, because we want our magnet elevated This way, when we apply our jute twine, it won't cover the magnet. So I already went ahead and applied my glue to these, and I will let them dry for a good 12 to 24 hours. Okay, so at this point, I would just like to make a correction. Now, in the beginning of the video, when I was going over the supplies, I said that you would need 6 glass candle holders from the Dollar Tree. You will actually need 8. And the reason for that is what I ended up finding was when we are going to put our stand together, I will show you at that point. But what I ended up finding was that for the trays that I have gotten from the Dollar Tree, it'll work out fine. If nothing really heavy is set on the top, it's fine. But what I thought was, if you do end up putting anything heavy, because these are not glued in, our trays are not glued in, just to have a little bit more flexibility with the DIY, there is a possibility that if something is too heavy, that it could tip. So I wanted to make sure that should you decide that you want to put something heavier on top, or say even you want to use the 2 smaller trays, but on the top you want to place a larger tray, I wanted to add an extra pillar or 2 candle holders glued together in the back for extra support. Just to have that peace of mind that should anything heavier be on top of there, you don't have to worry about it. Now the 2 that will be sitting in front of those, they're going to be fine because they have the 2 candle holders, pillars in front of it. So the tray can actually even have that as a support. But the 2 in the back, because they are higher, and again, as I said, because they are not glued on, there's a possibility that it could tip. So I went ahead and I glued 2 extra candles together. And so now remember, you will need 8 glass candle holders, and then you will need 7 magnets. You need an extra magnet now to put in the top of that. So once you've glued all of those together and they've dried, your candle holders have dried, your magnets have dried, then you are going to take your jute twine, and at the very top of your candle holder, just around the magnet, you are going to take your hot glue gun and you are going to start laying your jute twine and wrapping it until you have completely wrapped your candle holder, and it will look like this. So now once you've done those 2, you will go ahead and then wrap the rest of the candle holders that we've glued together until all of them are completely wrapped in the jute twine. Okay, so as you can see, I have already sprayed some of my pieces. This is our plastic rectangular base, and I sprayed that in the black gloss. I gave it 2 to 3 coats. At the same time, I sprayed my silver oval trays, and I used the Rust-Oleum paint and primer in white, and I gave them 2 to 3 coats as well. I did not yet apply the semi-gloss clear because we will be stenciling some things on these trays, which I will show you now. Okay, so now with my trays, I went on Google and I simply typed in cow silhouette, chicken silhouette, barn silhouette, and I just printed the images off. Now, if you don't have a printer, you can always just put your piece of paper on your screen and trace the images out. Or if you happen to have a stencil or see one that's a really good price, then you could just go ahead and buy one. But I just decided, since I had my printer, that I would just do it this way. So I'm just going to take a really good X-Acto knife and then just trace out my image, and then with my acrylic paint, I'm just going to dab with my sponge brush the image onto the 3 trays. Now you want to make the sizing good enough that, like on my trays, I will be writing fresh milk, farm fresh eggs, farm life. So I want to make sure that I make it a good size where it doesn't look too overcrowded, but it looks like it fits all in place very nicely. Then with our base tray, which is our black tray here, I'm simply going to take my letter stencil, and on both sides of the tray I'm just going to stencil out Farmers Market. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do all of that, and then I will show you what it looks like. Okay, so now as you can see, I stenciled on my lettering and my images onto the trays. Now I decided not to antique the trays. I really like the whiteness of the trays. I just think that when I think of the farmhouse decor, I love that crispness of the white that comes through. So I decided to leave them like that. But what I did do was I went ahead and I took my sponge brush. I don't know if you can tell in the camera because the lighting is not very good, but I kind of just took the acrylic paint and stippled it on with my sponge brush just to give it a little bit more dimension and some texture to the tray. Now once I did that, I went ahead and I took my semi-gloss clear and I gave that all the trays a good 2 to 3 coats of that. So now that they have dried, we are going to go ahead and begin assembling our candlestick holders onto our base tray. Okay, so now we are going to start gluing down our candle holders. And what you will do is you will take your 3 taller candle holders and you will place them in the corners, the back corner of your tray. You will take your 3rd one and up a little bit in between the 2, you will glue that one down so that when you're looking above, you see a triangle. And this way it just gives a really good support for that back tray so that if anything heavier is on there, it's not going to tip. Then you will take your 2 smaller candle holders and then place them a little up from the middle. And you want to make sure, what I would recommend is you go ahead and take your trays and lay your trays down so that you see where they sit nicely, because if you glue down your candle holders too far back or too close to those back candle holders, then your tray is not going to sit nicely. It'll tip. So you just want to position your tray on top before you glue everything down, just to make sure that everything will sit nice and flat. Then you will take 2 magnets, and just the magnet, the same ones that we inserted inside of the candle holders. You will wrap jute twine just around the magnet and enough to cover that edge. And then once you've done that, you will glue those down right in the front. And those magnets will just be there for that front tray when we lay it down, just so that it has some strength, so that if anybody walks by, that tray is not going to be pushed off. The magnets will hold it in place. So now once you have positioned everything where you want it, take your E6000 glue, apply it to the bottom of your candle holders and your 2 front magnets, and then you will let that dry for 12 to 24 hours. Okay, so I have decided to include this extra step that I ended up adding to my DIY. Now, what I did was I took 6 empty clean tuna cans and I wrapped them, starting from the bottom of the can, 5 rows up with the jute twine. Now, the reason I decided to do this, and you will see at the final product of our DIY, just to add a little bit more support to the tray. Now, my tray was a very firm, hard plastic, so if you were using this for cookies or hors d'oeuvres, anything like that, the tray is perfectly fine as it is. But I will be showing you another way to use this DIY, and so for that extra support and just the peace of mind knowing that since you work so hard on a piece, you'd like to keep it you know, intact as long as possible. Since it is plastic, you know, it really could crack. And so just to take an extra step, I decided to add these tuna cans for the support. So again, you will just wrap about 5 rows up, and then once you have them all wrapped, you will glue them to the bottom of the tray. Now, if I were giving this as a gift to someone, I would actually spray the bottom of the tray with the same black gloss that I did to the top of the tray, and as well I would completely wrap the tuna can in the jute twine. But because this decor piece is going to be in my own home, I'm not that picky with it, and I just decided to do this and save a little bit of time with those extra steps. So now once you've done that, if you decide to do this step, as I said, we will turn our tray over and then glue them to the bottom of the tray with our E6000 glue. Okay, so as you can see, I flipped my tray upside down and I applied my E6000 glue to the bottom of the tuna can, to the flat side of the tuna can, and turned them over and then just laid them down where I wanted them on the bottom of my tray. And again, you will give that a good 12 to 24 hours to dry.